Life Ready and Knowledge is Power. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast of The Ordinary Maverick. This is Ajay, your host, an ordinary maverick, sharing real life thoughts and experiences and maverick tips. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please do so, and you'll not miss another episode. It's possibly 1,000 times, or maybe 10,000 times, or even more, that I've heard this phrase, and I'm sure all of you have. Knowledge is power. It's amazing, but do you know that the history of the phrase goes back to 1668? It's actually a Latin aphorism and commonly attributed to Sir Francis Bacon. And one finds the expression, knowledge itself is power, in Bacon's Meditationes Sacrae in 1597. But the exact phrase of knowledge is power was written for the first time in the 1668 version of Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes, who was a secretary to Bacon as a young man. Isn't history just fascinating? Well, over the years, the phrase has been used many times. And often enough, knowledge gets linked with education. And of course, education is powerful. In Nelson Mandela's words, education is the most important weapon which can be used to change the world. And yes, we all agree. So, knowledge is powerful and education is powerful. Now, what's the difference, and is there any difference? Let's unpack this a little. Education is something that one gets from going to school, to college, basically to any learning institution, and you get your certificates, diplomas, and degrees to prove that you did attend and completed the education task for an appropriate time, right? And so, then what is knowledge? For me, knowledge is something one learns and acquires throughout life. It's continuous, and it's something that makes and keeps you what I call being life ready. One can gain knowledge by observing, experiencing, practicing, and in one's own ways. I am a firm believer of gaining knowledge through all these ways and have encouraged this in my own life and in our family too. But don't take my word for it. Let's see what the dictionary meanings are for both these. Knowledge is defined as facts, information and skills acquired through experience or association. It's also the awareness or familiarity gained by experience of a fact or situation. And education is the process of receiving or giving systematic instruction, especially at a school or university. Or it could be an enlightening experience, like sometimes we say, wow, he's so good with the guitar. It's an education to watch him play. Education is also both the act of teaching knowledge to others and the act of receiving knowledge from someone else, and also refers to the knowledge received through schooling or instruction and to the institution of teaching as a whole. So yes, both knowledge and education are intricately interlinked, and all through life we are continuously in pursuit for both. In keeping with the word of the month, pursuit, let's explore the pursuit of knowledge separate from the pursuit of education. Yes, one can get all the degrees and diplomas and the stamp of education. But, and there's a big but here, if one hasn't pursued knowledge in the true sense, then one will not be life ready. I mean, life is dynamic, life is unpredictable, life is plunging into the unknown, into the deep dark sea, sometimes without a life jacket. And you know the sink or swim phrase? Well, being life ready will help you swim through smoothly. Well, speaking of swimming, I just thought of something. Our time in Coffee Bay, a lovely place in the eastern coast of South Africa. We spent a week there and stayed at a backpackers hostel. Now that was quite an experience, I must say. We were the only family backpacking that day and could very well have been misfits of sorts in the midst of all the younger backpackers, but we just fit in. Now, I'm not bragging here, but yes, we did. And you know why? Because we were fast learners. We observed and quickly caught on, and it didn't take us long to just blend in. But here's the interesting thing. Our rooms were up on a hill, and we needed to walk downhill and cross a piece of land to get to the main hostel for dinner. Well, we got there pretty much fine and enjoyed our dinner and exchanging notes with other fellow backpackers. But imagine our shock when we tried to get back in the night and just saw this huge expanse of water between us and our rooms on the other side. It seems during high tide, the water comes right in, and they forgot to tell us. So here we are in pitch darkness. There were no lights there, having to wade through the water, having no idea how deep it was, and if there were any holes in the ground where we could lose our step and get a dunking in the cold water close to midnight. It was quite something. But what I remember distinctly from that experience is that throughout this entire thing, our teenage daughters were just totally unfazed and just found the entire thing a bit funny. They didn't even blink an eye and were ready to wade into the water just like that. No hesitation. Just ready to embrace the next new experience. Then the next day we realized that stretch of beach we were at was excellent for surfing. Now, none of us had ever surfed before. And I must say, both myself and my wife were like, how will it be? Should we try it? The usual thinking through all the pros and cons. But again, our girls were like, this is great. Let's learn surfing. And they jumped right into it and did a swell job, although it was the first time for them. Surfing as if they had always done it. I don't know, but that holiday reinforced something for me and all of us as a family. New experiences are just that. New until one does it. And seeing my daughter so enthusiastic and ready to take on the learnings without feeling conscious and not having any qualms of looking foolish, falling down while surfing, or wading through the sea at night, it gave me a sense of pride and also the realization that this is what life is all about. Jump into new experiences, get up if you fall down, and all along the way, enjoy the ride. So during that trip, I did something that I've never done before. I managed to clean fresh lobsters and crayfish and grill them. Now, I have shared before that I'm a vegetarian. In fact, one of the earlier podcast episodes expands on this, so do listen if you haven't already. And this entire cleaning the lobsters and crayfish thing was really something for me. It's just that we got fresh lobsters and crayfish, and they were simply huge. And none of us had a clue how to get them ready for the grill. It required some muscle power, and I volunteered. And by the way, those lobsters and crayfish were delicious. My wife and daughters still recall that fantastic grilled meal we have ever had. Fresh lobsters, crayfish, and veggies. And no guesses there. You know who ate the veggies? But one thing is for sure, we all learned something from that holiday. And that set the tone for our several other backpacking trips. We loved these trips across South Africa and Namibia. Such fun, but also so much learning. See, this is what knowledge is for me. We couldn't have learned anything like this from any book or a formal course. This was learning while doing, whole lot of fun and also memorable. So let's talk a little bit about being life ready. I'm not sure if this is an actual word or phrase. I haven't quite come across it yet, and I don't even remember the origins of it myself, but I have been using it for some time now during exchanges with friends, relatives, and other parents. And each time I do so, I'm asked, what is this? What is being life ready? And I believe this is to do with gaining knowledge. What one gets from experiences, observing, practicing, and not just the textbook kind of knowledge. It's about thinking on your feet, on coming up with solutions, on becoming courageous and rolling up your sleeves and putting in the hard work when the going gets tough and not panic. Quite a lot of stuff there to take in, right? So let me simplify that for you by sharing one more of our family stories. Our girls in their teens then went on a holiday all by themselves and few friends to the Bahamas. They went out jet skiing during that holiday. They had the jet ski for 30 minutes and they set out into the ocean with all their friends still on the beach. Well, all of a sudden, the jet ski stalled, and by then, the girls were quite far out in the water. They started waving, trying to attract some attention, but no one seemed to notice. Later, their friends said they thought they were waving and didn't realize they were signaling for help. The jet ski guy wasn't paying any attention too. And then water started coming onto the jet ski and it started sinking. Well, there was that moment of panic. At least one of them felt, oh gosh, this is not good. But then guess all the resilience training helped. The life readiness part, and they started making plans. Plan A, keep waving, and perhaps someone from the beach will notice that they haven't moved and something is wrong. Plan B, start prepping to swim to shore. Now that wouldn't be easy. They were quite far out, and plus the currents were strong, and they would need to pull in their reserves to swim against the current in the cold water and get to the shore. But if that's the option, then one does it, right? So they agreed on a time period for plan A and plan B and kept on waving furiously. Well, luckily for them, the jet ski guy saw them and realized they hadn't moved and something was wrong and came out to check on another jet ski. He got there just in time before the jet ski went completely under and they were able to get to shore and tow the non-functioning jet ski back. When this was recounted to us, yes, there was a moment of, oh my goodness, this was scary. I mean, anything could have happened. But then there was the feeling of pride too, that our girls kept their calm, thought through options, and had a plan in the midst of a crisis. That's what life readiness is all about. Well, fellow Mavericks, we are almost into the third week of the second month of 2022, and it's been an interesting series of pursuits involving excellence, passion, and knowledge. So let's keep the pursuits strong as we move forward in 2022, and do share your thoughts on being life ready. Do keep writing your comments and sharing your feedback at theordinarymaverick@gmail.com. And follow me on Instagram, #theordinarymaverick. I love hearing from you. This is Ajay signing off and wishing you have an amazing day, a super amazing year. Stay well, keep safe. Credits. This podcast series was put together as a team effort from the Bhardwaj family. Concept, design, title, researchers and reviewers: Ajay, Sanjana, Avantika and Niharika Bhardwaj. Script, Sanjana. Cover design, Niharika. All rights reserved.